the Chi-Town experience on the flight. Let me go tune in to Keek on the mic. He gon' make sure we get our news and highlights. When you get on YouTube, you better hit the like.
The Chicago Bears and the rest of the NFL just got really good news as we look towards the offseason. Hey, what's going on, Bears fans? Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of Keek on the Mic, the podcast all about the Chicago Bears. As always, if you're new to the channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Bears fans, before I go any further with today's episode of Keek on the Mic, I want to give a huge shout out to the sponsor of today's video, and that is BetUS. As always, Bears fans, make sure you guys head over to betus.com and use promo code YouTube150 for 150% deposit bonus up to $2,000 and get 125% second and third deposits as well. So Bears fans, we have some actually big news, not only for the Chicago Bears, but for the rest of the National Football League as well. The new projected salary cap is out, and it's even better than expected. And as we all know, the Chicago Bears have a real chance to seriously upgrade the roster, and we have a lot of upgrades to make, especially on the offense and defensive line. I know there's a lot of Bears fans, including myself, that are telling Ryan Poles and just screaming at the top of their lungs saying, hey, we got to build the trenches, because once again, you win and lose in the trenches, and that is something that Ryan Poles has struggled with during his first couple years as the Chicago Bears GM. But luckily enough, Ryan Poles and the Chicago Bears have a whole lot of resources. He has 8 draft picks, including 4 in the first 3 rounds in the upcoming 2025 NFL draft. That will also include around $64 million in cap space. But now, once again, the Chicago Bears and the rest of the National Football League got really, really good news in terms of the total amount of cap space that they will actually have. Once again, Pat Mcafee on his show revealed that the 2025 salary cap projected is out, and this is what he had to say. It's about to be set at $275 million. Check this out, Bears fans.
Have you seen what the projected salary cap is for next year, AJ?
I have not. No, what is it?
Projected salary cap next year, $275 million. Now, here is the salary cap growth since the year 1994. Okay, not that long ago. 1994, I was 7 years old. $34.6 million is how much you were allowed to spend on your entire roster. Then obviously you see the growth. 2010 was an uncapped year because there was a CBA lockout. There was no agreement. So they could have spent whatever. That was an uncapped year. 2020, obviously, you see it go down. That's because they weren't able to have anybody in the stands. But if you look from like 2013 to like 2025, the growth of this league is unbelievable. The amount of money going out to players, significant. Now, how will it continue to grow?
Bears fans, if this is true from Pat McAfee, which I'm not sure if it is, this would be absolutely huge, not only for the Chicago Bears, but for the rest of the National Football League. When you look at just last year's cap space, it was set at around $255 million. Now it's set at $275 million, Bears fans. That is a $20 million jump, not only for the Chicago Bears, but for the rest of the National Football League. Currently, the Chicago Bears have $64 million, but that would push them up to around $67 million. And every single penny that the Chicago Bears can get to upgrade their roster will be crucial, as once again, the Chicago Bears and Ryan Poles have a whole lot of needs to address to create a really strong roster here in Chicago for new head coach Ben Johnson. And here's the good thing for the Chicago Bears, that it would be set at $67 million to spend for the offseason, but the Chicago Bears can make several moves to create even more cap space. Moves with just by cutting Gerald Everett and Ryan Bates alone would gain an additional $9.4 million, would push them to around $76 to $77 million to spend. If you even want to cut a guy like Kevin Byard, that would create another around $7 million in cap space, which I don't think they're going to cut Kevin Byard, so don't take me the wrong way. I'm just saying if they want to create more cap space, get to about $80+ million to spend, that they can also do that option as well. You can also think about cutting Jonathan Owens, saving another $5.56 million in cap space. So the Bears will definitely have some options to gain a lot of cap space, and they're going to need a lot of cap space if they want to, generate more talent on this roster. I think those guys I just listed, especially when you look at Ryan Bates, Gerald Everett, they have kind of underperformed, not only with injuries, but just when they got on the field, they haven't performed well. Kevin Byard has performed well, but if you can save $7 million and maybe, get a younger player there, even though Kevin Byard has been a really good player, you possibly will do that. And of course, with Jonathan Owens, if you're able to save like $5 to $6 million there, I think most Bears fans would take that. But once again, the Chicago Bears in the past have tried to avoid reckless spending. Ryan Poles has been very big on building through the draft, and that's something that he has done, to me, pretty well. You look at Darnell Wright, Jaquan Brisker, Kyler Gordon, of course, Caleb Williams, Roma Dunze, and I think he'll continue building through the draft pretty well. But I think he is not naive to the fact that he is going to have to take a couple of big swings this free agency, especially in the trenches. Names that really stick out, not only for myself, but for most Bears fans, is a Super Bowl winning guard, Trey Smith. And to me, that makes the most sense in the world, just dating back to their connection in 2021. Ryan Poles played an instrumental part of drafting him back in 2021 with the Kansas City Chiefs. And then, of course, Trey Smith has a relationship with Darnell Wright, playing 2 seasons together at Tennessee. So I expect the Chicago Bears to take a massive swing at him and pay him a pretty hefty contract. Also, look on the other side of the trenches. Looking at the defensive line, you can look at edge rusher Josh Sweat, maybe Chase Young, a reunion with him and Montez Sweat. I know there's a lot of Bears fans that may want to go and get Khalil Mack back. He's going to be a free agent. Maybe have a reunion with him as well. And then, of course, I'm looking at the interior of the offensive line as well, with Drew Dahlman, the center from the Atlanta Falcons. I know there's a lot of Bears fans that may say, hey, just keep Coleman Shelton. Even though he wasn't necessarily all that great, he did play better down the stretch. He would obviously be cheaper. But Drew Dahlman, to me, would also be a really good player for the Chicago Bears to add, especially if you're able to get him and Trey Smith. I think that would be a revamp on the interior of the Chicago Bears offensive line. And once again, it's not going to be easy. Once again, this is huge news for the Chicago Bears and the rest of the National Football League. You look at teams like New England, Las Vegas, Washington, Arizona. Each of those organizations have more cap space than the Chicago Bears. So getting Trey Smith, getting Drew Dahlman, getting Chase Young or Josh Sweat is not going to be easy. There's going to be other teams that have more money to throw at those guys. That's why the Chicago Bears are going to have to use all their resources. Once again, you have the number 10 overall pick. You have 2 second-round picks at pick number 39 and 41. And then, of course, you have pick number 72 as well. Not only that, the Chicago Bears could possibly have an extra 3rd round pick. I'm not sure if you guys heard, but Ian Cunningham is currently the front runner for the Jacksonville Jaguars job. If he does land that job, the Chicago Bears would get 2 3rd round picks, 1 in 2025 and 1 in 2026, which would mean that their total would come up to about 4 or 5 picks in the first 3 rounds in the 2025 NFL draft. Number 10 overall, 39 and 41 in round 2. And then, of course, they would have 2 3rd round picks at their disposal as well in the upcoming 2025 NFL draft. And that's just if Ian Cunningham actually lands the job in Jacksonville. So once again, the Chicago Bears have good reasons to spend. Ryan Poles knows that he is under a whole lot of pressure on building the offensive line and filling out the other areas of need on the roster. And whenever the cap space goes up this significantly, talking about a $20 million jump from 2024 to 2025, Ryan Poles going to have to take some calculated risk and be bold here. And I'm not saying go out and make 4 or 5 blockbuster moves, because we don't have that type of money. But he can definitely go make 1 or 2 big swings on guys like Trey Smith, Drew Dahlman. But if you don't want Drew Dahlman, you can go Trey Smith and go get a high-level edge rusher like Chase Young or Josh Sweat. All in all, I'm going to, believe in Ryan Poles and his partnership with Ben Johnson as the new head coach of the Chicago Bears to continue to build the roster the right way. And I think having Ben Johnson in the fold and him coming from a successful organization that built from the ground up and was successful, I can imagine that Ben Johnson and Ryan Poles are going to attack this offseason head first and be really aggressive to add some key areas of needs to the Chicago Bears roster. So overall, Bears fans, how do you feel about the news of the cap space going up pretty significantly, not only for the Chicago Bears, but for the rest of the National Football League? And who do you want to see the Chicago Bears target this offseason? Let me know down below in the comment section. But as always, Bears fans, make sure you guys continue to hit that subscribe button and the notification to catch all Bears content right here on the podcast. Make sure you follow me on all my social media platforms, and make sure you share this episode of Keek on the Mic with every single Bears fan that you know. Once again, make sure you guys also head over to betus.com and use promo code YouTube150 for 150% deposit bonus up to $2,000, and also get 125% second and third deposits as well. But other than that, I'll be back for all new Bears podcasts right here on Keek on the Mic. Thanks, guys, and as always, bear down.
You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic. You can go and subscribe, cause I be on it right. You ain't bout it, you ain't bout it, you ain't Keek on the mic.